Lies have a way of finding their way into our lives, whether they're big or small, intentional or accidental. We all want to trust the people around us, but the reality is that deception can be hard to spot. However, there's power in recognizing the signs of dishonesty early, because the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, always serves your growth. So, let's dive into the 9 signs someone might be lying to you, and more importantly, how you can use this knowledge to strengthen your relationships and your own self-worth. Trusting yourself is the foundation of every decision you make, the bedrock of your personal growth, and the key to living a fulfilled life. It's easy to rely on others, to seek validation from external sources. But true empowerment comes when you learn to trust your own instincts, judgment, and abilities. When you trust yourself, you stop second-guessing your decisions and you begin to move with confidence, clarity, and purpose. The importance of self-trust cannot be overstated. In a world that is often uncertain and unpredictable, your inner compass is the only constant you can rely on. When you trust yourself, you believe in your capacity to navigate challenges, overcome obstacles, and stay true to your values. Without that trust, you may feel lost, unsure of the direction to take, or hesitant to make important decisions. But when you cultivate the ability to trust yourself, you take ownership of your life and become the author of your own story. Self-trust is a deep belief in your worth. Trusting yourself means acknowledging that you are deserving of success, love, and happiness. It's about rejecting the voice that says you aren't good enough or that you need to prove yourself to others. It's about embracing the truth that your value is inherent, not contingent on anyone else's opinion or approval. When you trust yourself, you stop looking outside for affirmation and start turning inward, relying on your own sense of self to guide you. Trusting yourself also requires being vulnerable. It's about acknowledging your fears, doubts, and insecurities without letting them control you. It's easy to want to hide behind walls of perfectionism or self-doubt, but true growth happens when you allow yourself to be imperfect. When you trust yourself, you give yourself permission to make mistakes, knowing that failure is not the end, but an opportunity to learn and grow. Embracing vulnerability means letting go of the fear of being judged or criticized and choosing instead to honor your journey wherever it may lead. There will be moments when you face uncertainty and doubt. You may question whether you're making the right choice or whether you're on the right path. This is where trust becomes crucial. Trusting yourself means having the courage to move forward even when the outcome is unclear, even when the road ahead is uncertain. It's the ability to listen to your intuition and take bold steps in the face of fear. It's knowing that, regardless of what happens, you have the strength and resilience to handle whatever comes your way. Building self-trust doesn't happen overnight. It's a lifelong journey that requires practice, patience, and compassion. It's about setting small goals and keeping promises to yourself. Each time you follow through on something you've committed to, you reinforce your belief in your own abilities. It's about being kind to yourself in moments of failure, recognizing that mistakes are part of the process and not a reflection of your worth. And it's about celebrating your wins, no matter how small, knowing that every step forward is evidence of your strength and growth. When you trust yourself, you create the space for a deeper connection with your own truth. You become more attuned to your values, your passions, and your desires. You stop compromising who you are for the sake of others, and instead, you align your life with what truly matters to you. You no longer need external validation to feel secure in your decisions because you know deep down that you are enough. Trusting yourself is the greatest gift you can give yourself. It's the foundation for everything that comes after confidence, resilience, and a life that is authentically yours. So take the time to nurture that trust. Quiet the noise, listen to your heart, and trust that you have everything you need within you to create the life you deserve. Being courageous and facing the truth is one of the most transformative practices we can embrace in our lives. Truth, in its purest form, has the power to set us free, but often it is the very thing we resist, fearing its potential to disrupt, challenge, or even dismantle the life we've carefully built. The courage to face the truth means having the strength to confront uncomfortable realities, no matter how daunting they may seem. It means looking beyond the surface and acknowledging things as they are, not as we wish them to be. When we choose to face the truth, we give ourselves the freedom to grow. The truth is not always easy or pleasant. It may reveal parts of ourselves or our situations that we'd rather ignore. It may force us to confront difficult emotions like regret, disappointment, or fear. But in facing these emotions head-on, we give ourselves the opportunity to heal and move forward with clarity. Without this courage, we remain stagnant, living in denial or self-deception, which only holds us back from becoming the people we are meant to be. Being courageous and facing the truth also requires vulnerability. It's easy to hide behind a mask of false comfort or act as though everything is fine when it's not. But vulnerability is the key to true connection, both with ourselves and others. When we face the truth, we open ourselves up to authenticity and real connection. It's about being honest with ourselves about where we are in life, what we're struggling with, and what we need to change. It takes bravery to admit when we're not okay, to acknowledge that we are human and imperfect. But by doing so, we invite others to be real with us as well, creating a space for mutual understanding and support. Facing the truth is also about accepting the reality of situations, even when they don't align with our expectations or desires. We all have dreams and hopes for how things should turn out, but life doesn't always unfold according to plan. In those moments, facing the truth means letting go of the narrative we've constructed and embracing what is. It's about letting go of the story we tell ourselves to protect us from the pain of disappointment. The truth might not always match our ideal vision, but it brings with it the possibility of growth, resilience, and adaptation. By accepting the truth, we open ourselves to new paths and opportunities we might not have seen before. Facing the truth means taking responsibility for our own actions and decisions. It's easy to blame external circumstances or other people for our problems, but courage lies in taking ownership of the choices we've made. It's about recognizing that while we may not control everything in our lives, we have the power to control our responses and actions moving forward. Taking responsibility for our mistakes is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. It's an acknowledgement that we are in control of our own destiny and that we have the power to change our course at any time. The courage to face the truth is about empowerment. When we accept the truth about others or our circumstances, we are no longer bound by illusions. We no longer live in fear of being exposed or found out because we are already embracing who we truly are. Facing the truth opens the door to living an authentic life where our actions are aligned with our values and our decisions are guided by clarity, not fear. It's an invitation to step into our power, to live with intention, and to make choices that reflect the truth of who we are and what we stand for. Facing the truth is not about perfection, but about courage. It's about choosing honesty, even when it's hard. It's about choosing authenticity, even when it feels vulnerable. And it's about choosing to live in alignment with who we truly are, free from the constraints of denial and self-deception. When we find the courage to face the truth, we find freedom to grow, to evolve, and to create a life that is rooted in honesty and integrity. Empathy is a powerful tool that can bring profound clarity to our understanding of ourselves and others. It allows us to step outside of our own experiences and into someone else's shoes to feel their emotions, understand their perspective, and see the world through their eyes. This deep sense of connection and understanding is not just a means to comfort others, It's a tool that helps us navigate the complexities of human relationships and ultimately our own inner world. When we approach life with empathy, we open ourselves to greater insight and clarity about our own values, our emotions, and the motivations behind the actions of others. Empathy involves being present. It requires us to listen not just to the words being spoken, but to the emotions behind them. Often, the surface level conversation is only a small part of the story. The true meaning lies in the unspoken, in the body language, tone of voice, and the feelings that come through in the silence. By attuning ourselves to these subtleties, we can better understand what someone is really trying to communicate, even if their words don't fully express it. This kind of active listening cultivates an atmosphere of trust and understanding, allowing both parties to explore the deeper layers of the conversation. Empathy also helps us overcome judgment. When we allow ourselves to be empathetic, we remove the filter of judgment that often clouds our perceptions. Instead of rushing to conclusions about someone's actions or motivations, empathy encourages us to understand the circumstances that may have led them to act in a particular way. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior, but it does mean taking the time to consider what factors are influencing that behavior. By doing so, we can gain a more nuanced understanding of the situation and respond with compassion rather than defensiveness or anger. Empathy can bring clarity to our own emotions and experiences. Often, when we are in conflict or dealing with difficult emotions, it's easy to get lost in our own perspective. We may feel hurt, confused, or frustrated, and our emotions can cloud our ability to see things clearly. But when we pause and reflect with empathy, whether toward ourselves or others, we create the space to gain perspective. We begin to ask ourselves, what might the other person be feeling? What might have shaped their actions? This shift in perspective allows us to step away from a place of self-centeredness and opens up a broader, more compassionate view of the situation. Empathy also helps us develop emotional intelligence, which is essential for making clear, thoughtful decisions. By tuning into the emotions of others, we gain insight into their needs and motivations. This allows us to respond in ways that are not only rational but emotionally attuned. It's a tool for communication that fosters deeper connections and avoids misunderstandings. The more we practice empathy, the more attuned we become to our own emotional landscape, and the more we can use that awareness to inform our decisions and actions. In challenging situations, empathy serves as a guide that cuts through the noise of conflict or confusion. When we meet others with empathy, we diffuse tension and create an environment where clarity can emerge. Instead of being reactive, empathy encourages us to respond thoughtfully. This gives us the ability to see through the surface level conflict and identify the deeper needs or emotions that are at play. By understanding these needs, we can find solutions that address the root cause of the issue rather than simply managing its symptoms. Empathy is a tool that helps us navigate the complexities of human interaction with wisdom and grace. It helps us see beyond the surface, understand the true motivations and emotions of others, and gain greater clarity in our own lives. When we practice empathy, we invite deeper understanding, compassion, and connection into every aspect of our lives. This clarity doesn't just illuminate the path forward in our relationships, it also enhances our own personal growth, helping us become more aligned with our values and our deeper purpose. The power of boundaries is a concept that is often overlooked, yet it is essential for creating a life that is aligned with our values, needs, and well-being. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep people out. They are guidelines that define how we interact with the world and how we protect our emotional, mental, and physical space. They are a declaration of self-respect, a way of saying that we are worthy of being treated with dignity, and that we are responsible for our own happiness and peace. Boundaries give us the freedom to be ourselves without constantly being overwhelmed or drained by the demands of others. When we set boundaries, we communicate our limits clearly and assertively. This allows us to maintain our sense of identity and avoid losing ourselves in relationships or situations that are not serving us. Without boundaries, we are vulnerable to manipulation, burnout, and emotional depletion. The more we let others cross our personal limits, the more we risk sacrificing our own needs and values in the process. By setting boundaries, we regain control over our lives and protect our emotional and psychological health. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others, but also about saying yes to ourselves. Setting boundaries is a way of honoring our time, energy, and emotions. It means recognizing when we are stretched too thin or when we are being asked to compromise our principles for the sake of others. By respecting our own boundaries, we create space for self-care, personal growth, and the things that truly matter to us. We also give ourselves permission to prioritize our own needs without guilt or shame. One of the most powerful aspects of boundaries is that they foster mutual respect. When we set boundaries, we are showing others how we want to be treated, and in turn, we invite them to respect our limits. Healthy boundaries create a foundation of trust in relationships, as they ensure that both parties understand each other's needs and limits. Without boundaries, relationships can become imbalanced, with one person constantly giving and the other constantly taking. Boundaries help create harmony, allowing both individuals to flourish while maintaining their own sense of autonomy and respect. Setting boundaries also empowers us to deal with difficult situations with more clarity and confidence. When we know what our limits are, we can handle conflicts or challenges more effectively. Rather than reacting impulsively or letting emotions dictate our responses, boundaries give us the space to respond thoughtfully. Whether we are dealing with a toxic relationship, an overwhelming workload, or a situation that feels uncomfortable, boundaries help us navigate those moments with grace and assurance. They remind us that we have control over how we respond, and that we are not obligated to tolerate disrespect or negativity. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if we are used to being people pleasers or if we fear disappointing others. However, learning to set boundaries is a practice that grows easier with time and self-awareness. It requires us to have the courage to be honest with ourselves and with others about our needs and limitations. It also means recognizing that setting boundaries is not a selfish act, but rather a way of creating a healthier, more balanced life. The more we honor our boundaries, the more we teach others to respect them as well. The power of boundaries lies in their ability to protect our energy, preserve our well-being, and honor our authenticity. Boundaries help us stay true to who we are and ensure that we are not sacrificing our own happiness for the sake of others. They give us the strength to say no when necessary and to say yes to the things that truly serve us. By setting clear, healthy boundaries, we create space for more joy, peace, and fulfillment in our lives. Boundaries are not barriers, they are the framework within which we can thrive. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, something to be avoided or hidden. Yet, in reality, it is one of the most powerful tools we have for building deep, meaningful connections with others. To be vulnerable is to show up as our true selves without the walls of protection or facades that we often put up to shield our fears, insecurities, and imperfections. It's about letting others see us as we are, in all our raw, unpolished humanity. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create an authentic space for connection to flourish. Vulnerability is about courage. It takes immense strength to expose the parts of ourselves that we fear might be judged or rejected. The act of vulnerability is not about weakness, but about owning our story, our struggles, our mistakes, and our emotions, and choosing to share them with others. It's about being honest, not just with others, but with ourselves. When we embrace vulnerability, we break free from the constraints of perfectionism and self-doubt. We allow ourselves to be imperfect, to show our flaws and fears, and in doing so, we invite others to do the same. The beauty of vulnerability lies in its power to foster genuine connection. When we share our true selves, we invite others to share theirs in return. This exchange of authenticity creates a bond that goes beyond surface level interaction. Vulnerability allows us to relate to each other on a deeper emotional level as we recognize that we are not alone in our struggles, fears, or desires. By opening ourselves up, we create a space where others feel safe to open up as well. This mutual sharing creates a sense of intimacy and trust, the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built. Vulnerability also allows us to experience greater empathy. When we see someone else be vulnerable, it often prompts us to reflect on our own experiences and emotions. It reminds us that we are all human, all imperfect, and all deserving of love and acceptance. When we share our vulnerabilities, we not only connect with others on a deeper level, but also create an environment where empathy can thrive. Vulnerability opens the door to understanding and compassion, as it shows others that we are not defined by our flaws, but by our willingness to be real with them. Vulnerability is essential for personal growth. By allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, we give ourselves permission to confront our own fears, limitations, and insecurities. It's easy to hide behind the comfort of a carefully constructed persona, but true growth happens when we step outside of our comfort zones and face the parts of ourselves that we might otherwise keep hidden. Vulnerability challenges us to let go of the need for approval or perfection, and instead embrace the truth of who we are. It's through this process that we develop the strength and resilience to move forward, knowing that we are enough, just as we are. Vulnerability is a bridge that connects us to others in a way that no amount of superficial conversation or polished image ever can. It's through vulnerability that we show our real selves, allowing others to see us in our full complexity. And it's through this connection that true intimacy is born, the kind that is not based on pretense or idealized versions of who we think we should be, but on the honest, messy, beautiful truth of who we are. Vulnerability is the key to living authentically and creating the deep, fulfilling connections we all desire. It requires us to step outside of our comfort zones, face our fears, and trust that being ourselves imperfections and all is enough. When we embrace vulnerability, we give others permission to do the same. And together we build relationships that are not just meaningful, but transformative. It is through vulnerability that we truly see and understand each other, creating a space where connection can flourish in its truest form. Perception is one of the most powerful forces that shape our lives. It governs how we view the world, how we understand ourselves, and how we interpret the actions and behaviors of others. Perception doesn't just reflect reality, it actively creates it. The way we perceive events, situations, and people can influence our emotions, our decisions, and our relationships. It has the power to uplift us or hold us back, to create peace or fuel conflict. Understanding that perception is powerful gives us the opportunity to take control of how we view the world and, in turn, how we experience it. Perception is shaped by our beliefs, past experiences, and values. Two people can witness the same event and come away with entirely different interpretations. One might see an opportunity while the other sees a threat. One might feel hopeful while the other feels fearful. This difference in perception can stem from how we've been conditioned to see the world or how we've been shaped by our upbringing, culture, or personal experiences. Our perceptions are often colored by our emotional state, our biases, and our internal narratives, which may not always reflect the full truth. Recognizing this gives us the power to question and, if necessary, reshape our perceptions in order to view things more clearly and with greater compassion. Perception is powerful because it affects how we interpret and respond to the world around us. It influences the way we see ourselves, how we interact with others, and how we approach challenges. When we perceive ourselves as capable and worthy, we are more likely to take risks and seize opportunities. On the other hand, if we perceive ourselves as inadequate or unworthy, we may shy away from challenges or hold ourselves back from pursuing our dreams. This can create a self-fulfilling prophecy where our perceptions of our abilities and potential limit our actions and achievements. Our perception of others is equally powerful. The way we view people can shape our relationships and determine how we treat them. If we perceive someone as untrustworthy, for example, we might approach them with suspicion, which could lead to distance and misunderstandings. On the other hand, if we perceive someone with empathy and understanding, we are more likely to approach them with compassion, which fosters connection and trust. Our perceptions of others can also be influenced by stereotypes, biases, or past experiences, which may not always reflect the truth of who they are. Being mindful of how we perceive others allows us to interact with them more openly, free from judgment, and more willing to see the person for who they truly are. One of the most profound aspects of perception is how it shapes our response to adversity. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and difficult situations. How we perceive these moments plays a huge role in how we cope with them. If we view a failure as a reflection of our worth or abilities, we might become discouraged or give up altogether. But if we see failure as an opportunity for growth and learning, our response will be much more constructive. The same holds true for conflicts or difficulties with others. If we perceive a disagreement as an attack on our character, we may respond defensively or with hostility. But if we view it as a difference of opinion or an opportunity to understand someone better, we are more likely to approach it with curiosity and a willingness to find common ground. Perception is also powerful in terms of how it influences our outlook on life. Our mindset, whether positive or negative, is rooted in the way we perceive the world. If we choose to see the world as abundant, full of opportunities, and capable of change, we are more likely to act in ways that align with that belief. Conversely, if we view the world as scarce, full of obstacles, and out of our control, we may become passive, fearful, or resigned. The power of perception lies in our ability to choose how we see the world, even in the face of adversity. By shifting our perception, we can shift our experience of life itself. Perception is a lens through which we see everything in our lives. It shapes our relationships, our sense of self, and our capacity to navigate the challenges we face. Recognizing that perception is powerful gives us the freedom to choose how we want to perceive the world, and in doing so, it empowers us to create a life that is aligned with our values, goals, and true potential. When we become aware of the role perception plays in shaping our reality, we unlock the ability to transform our experience and live more consciously, with intention and clarity. The phrase "the truth will set you free" holds immense power and significance, serving as a reminder that living in alignment with the truth can bring liberation, peace, and authenticity into our lives. It suggests that though truth may at times be difficult or uncomfortable to face, it ultimately leads to freedom from the weight of lies, deception, and the internal struggle of self-denial. When we embrace the truth, we break free from the chains that limit our growth, our potential, and our relationships. The truth doesn't bind us, it liberates us to be who we truly are, to live with integrity, and to navigate the world with clarity and confidence. Living in truth requires a willingness to confront discomfort and vulnerability. Often we avoid the truth because it forces us to face parts of ourselves or our lives that we would rather ignore or suppress. Whether it's acknowledging our mistakes, facing a difficult reality, or admitting our own shortcomings, the truth can feel like a heavy burden. Yet, it is in the acceptance of this truth that we find our greatest strength. The truth allows us to see things as they really are, not as we wish them to be. It clears the fog of confusion and reveals the path ahead, even when it seems uncertain or challenging. One of the most profound ways in which the truth sets us free is by releasing us from the lies we tell ourselves. We all have internal narrative stories we've constructed about who we are, what we're capable of, and what we deserve. These stories are often shaped by fear, insecurity, and past experiences. They can be limiting, keeping us trapped in patterns of self-doubt or denial. When we finally allow ourselves to face the truth about who we really are, what we truly want, and what's truly possible for us, we begin to break free from these self-imposed limitations. The truth allows us to rewrite the story, to embrace a narrative that is empowering, honest, and full of possibility. The truth also frees us from the need for external validation. When we live in alignment with our truth, we no longer seek approval or affirmation from others to feel worthy. We become grounded in our own sense of self, knowing that we are enough regardless of others' opinions or expectations. This inner confidence is what gives us the courage to pursue our dreams, set boundaries, and make decisions that reflect our values and desires. We stop hiding behind facades or trying to fit into molds that don't serve us. And instead, we embrace the fullness of who we are. This authenticity is freeing because it allows us to live a life that is true to ourselves, not one shaped by others' views or societal pressures. Embracing the truth allows for healthier, more genuine relationships. When we are honest with ourselves and others, we invite deeper connections built on trust and mutual respect. Lies and deception create distance and mistrust, while truth fosters understanding and closeness. It's easy to fall into the trap of pretending, of saying what we think others want to hear, or avoiding difficult conversations. When we embrace truth in our interactions, we open the door to real, meaningful relationships. Whether it's a relationship with a partner, a friend, or even with ourselves, the truth creates a foundation of trust that allows love, compassion, and support to flourish. The truth also brings clarity to our decision-making process. When we know the truth, we can make choices that are aligned with our deepest values and goals. Without the cloud of self-deception or uncertainty, we can move forward with confidence and purpose. The truth provides a clear lens through which we can assess situations, understand our motivations, and choose the path that is right for us. It allows us to stop second-guessing ourselves and to trust our intuition and judgment. This clarity makes life less overwhelming and more manageable, as we are no longer bogged down by confusion or fear of the unknown. The truth sets us free because it allows us to live authentically, to be fully present with ourselves and others, and to step into our power. It frees us from the constraints of self-deception, insecurity, and the fear of being judged. While the truth may be uncomfortable or difficult to face at times, it is always worth it. The freedom it brings is worth the courage it takes to embrace it. When we choose truth, we choose freedom, the freedom to live a life that is aligned with who we truly are, free from the weight of lies and illusion. This freedom is not just about escaping external constraints, but about liberating our hearts, minds, and souls to live with integrity, purpose, and authenticity.